Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on my buddy Jason's 4Runner. You've seen it in previous videos when it had the knock sensor issue. Now it has a shifting issue. New year, same broken 4Runner. Let's hop into it. So the problem we're seeing with this thing is that it's having issues upshifting and downshifting. On an automatic transmission, that could be a result of a broken kickdown cable. And as you can see, this one is broken. So we're giving excess slack into it. There's no way to tighten this thing up. And basically this just in simple terms, provides input to the transmission for when it should shift. The other thing is that there's an issue with all of the little control modules and solenoids and relays, or whatever you want to call them, that live under this shifter. So we have a whole new shift unit we're gonna put into this thing. And I believe that he already replaced the transmission solenoids too. You replaced all those solenoids in the pan?
Yep.
Okay.
How do you want to cut these wires again?
Oh yeah, we do have to cut them to pull them through this thing, huh?
Yeah, this is where...
And then we'll have to resolder them again.
Yeah, I got some wire cutters right here.
So we're gonna start with the shifting unit first, even though it's probably not the issue. This truck has issues with this whole unit in the first place, so we're just fixing it as part of this repair. We get to use new tools that I got for Christmas. That thing works really good. Dude, I've been using a ratchet this entire time. All right, so we're making progress on getting this shifting unit out of there. There's linkages under it that go to your transfer case and your transmission, so we have to get that loose to get those out, as you can see.
This is the one I just took off right here. It was held to the shifter by that guy right there.
Oh, that little son of a bitch.
Yep.
All right.
And now we just have to go under and disconnect the linkages that connect this to the transmission to know what gear they're in.
Those are the ones that we set the other day. Yeah. Okay. When you disconnect this linkage from under the truck, up there, right there, those two bolts, make sure that you put your e-brake on, because the truck will roll and you don't want to be under it when it starts rolling. All right, so that's it. So this is the unit out of Jason's 4Runner, and this is the replacement one that we got out of a parts car. And it looks like the linkage arm that goes to the shifter here is actually longer on this one than this one. So it doesn't exactly just plug and play. So we're gonna try to swap out this arm and see if we can't come up with some sort of Frankenstein shifter here. Okay, so I took off this rubber isolator slash dampener slash gasket thing off the bottom of the shifter, hoping that there'd be just like a nut and a bolt that was holding this thing on, and it actually looks to be that way. So I'm just gonna take the nut and bolt out of this shifter and swap the shifters between the two. So I'm gonna put this one onto that one. Well, we swapped the shifter onto the other unit here, and you might be wondering why we're doing this. Since I said the truck has a shifting issue, you know, it's obviously not just the shifter, but this is a different problem. This truck has issues where the key gets stuck in the ignition, which has to do with modules and relays here. It had an issue where the shift lock wouldn't allow you to move the actual shifter itself. And this little unit under here is it's actually a magnet. So when you hit the brake, it charges the magnet and it pulls the lock, this guy, away from the shifter and allows you to shift. So hopefully everything in this unit works and fixes the issues that we were having. So we're putting the shifting unit back in, and under this plate, there's a cotter pin that has to go through that rod right there, which, as you can tell, is very hard to get to. And you have to do it from this angle. So once that's done, we'll be able to test this thing out. All right, so the new shifter parts are installed. The shift lock works again. This is a magnet, which is controlled by the brake pedal. That wasn't working before. We had to fix that. And the one that actually was in there was broken. You can see there's a little arm here, and the spring and this little rod go inside of that, that little box there. And then another thing that we fixed was the actual shift button. We found out this is a rod that's threaded, and you could adjust how far this goes in or out, which will affect your ability to push down the button on the shifter. And the last thing was that the key actually comes back out now. Okay, I just pulled the overdrive harness through the shifter. You can see this actually routes through the shifter, and we'll have to solder it because this goes through the handle as well. Then we have to solder it to the button on the back side of this button here. See these wires that come out? This actually might be the only video on YouTube or the entire internet on how this shifting assembly works on this transmission. We couldn't find anything, so we just kind of taught ourselves as we went along. So yeah, just got to solder this back on. Jason's working on the O2 sensor. This is the old one. Looks like it's never been changed. So yeah, we're gonna solder the overdrive wires back into the button and then get this whole bezel and everything reinstalled. Let's do a quick update on my truck as Jason's working on his. So we went from 33s to 37s. These are Cooper Discoverers, I believe. Finished all of the little odds and ends that were kind of needing to be done. Finished the rear suspension on it. Got the locker installed, the 529 gears. Painted the grill black with some bed liner. You know, nothing really special there. I need to change out the passenger axle seal. It's been leaking, but got the dual cases installed and everything done in the interior. So see, I mean, there's still work that needs to be done, like speakers and door panels and stuff like that, but for the most part it's actually pretty clean for a second gen truck interior. Got the dual cases done and everything. It's a 470 in the transfer case and 228 in the crawl box. Need to get a radio in there, but yeah, it's came a long way. I want to get rock sliders for it, and bumpers and armor and all that stuff, a winch. Might flatbed it in the future. Built this little organizer that basically holds our camping bins and our ice chests there. You saw in previous videos I mounted the toolbox in there. That's all done. I got a muffler welded onto it. It's actually really tucked up there. I got the drive shafts made with a thicker wall, so that's the rear drive shaft, and here's the front drive shaft. Got the trail gear skid plate for the dual transfer cases. Yeah, I've been taking this thing on all sorts of trails, have no problems with it whatsoever. It's been a great truck. It's super capable. There it is all back together, that beautiful 1990 brown interior. The working shift assembly. Now we move on to the kickdown cable. So, as I said before, this thing's broken, you can see here. Let's go ahead and start removing this thing and tracing where it goes. Looks to go all the way down as we expect to the transmission, and somewhere the other cable end, focus, somewhere the other cable end will attach down there at the transmission. Please be easy to access. Well, it looks like we'll have to remove the transmission pan to get to that cable, so it's gonna be a little bit tougher than we expected. Well, we removed the transmission pan, and look at that. That right there, right here, is where the kickdown cable attaches inside the transmission pan. So we just have to remove the cable and replace it with the new one. And on the side of the transmission here, you can't really see it. Let me see if I can move this guy out of the way. You can see right there is where the cable bolts down to the side of the transmission, and then it feeds onto this little cable guide here, and then that goes up to the throttle body. I removed the cable from the guide here, or the pulley, whatever you want to call it, and now you just have to pull it out of the hole. So you can see the flange, it bolts down up there. I'm just gonna pull that out. And the cable's ready to be replaced. I replaced the old cable with the new one. As you can see on the side of the transmission there, we got a brand new cable, if we can ever focus. And in the engine bay, we have the new cable here, set at the middle of the adjustment for just testing, and we'll adjust it as we go. But yeah, this cable's in way better shape than the old one. We routed it the exact same way. The old one here in the trash, you can see the cable was broken. So this wasn't actually fastened to the rest of the cable. So whenever any tension was pulled this way or the other way, there was nothing holding the actual adjustment in place, which means this cable wasn't doing anything at all. So now comes the fun part. We have to put the pan back on. Up there. Okay, the pan's back on. We just finished filling it up with some new ATF. So take this thing out for a spin and see if it shifts now. Okay, so first test drive, it's still not going into overdrive, but it might be just because it's not up to operating temperature yet. I believe there's a temperature switch on this transmission that requires it to be a certain temperature before it allows the transmission to go into overdrive. So we're gonna keep on driving this thing and see if it goes into fourth. And if it doesn't, I mean, there might be a follow-up video. We'll see what happens. Not in fourth yet. Still not in fourth. It went into fourth gear. It finally did it. So I think there might be something with a temperature sensor or something that's kind of malfunctioning, because it only goes into fourth gear sometimes, and it's definitely in fourth. If I hit the overdrive button here, it's gonna put us back into third. And it just did. And now we're back in fourth again. So yeah, I just got to work out the kinks, but it actually shifted into fourth gear now. So the truck does have a fourth gear, and yeah, this is actually really good progress. We're in third gear again. It's kind of struggling to go into overdrive. The check engine light's for something else. Oh, it went into fourth. All right, yeah, that's a lot more consistent than it's been in the past. It didn't even go into fourth gear before, so cool. All right, guys, so that's gonna be it for this video. That thing definitely still needs some work done to it, but it's in a lot better shape than when it showed up, so. Yeah, thank you for watching. I'll do a better update on this truck soon, and I'll definitely be doing some more mods to this in the near future. So stay tuned. Catch you guys in the next video. Later.